I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully my mic's working. I can't see the YouTube chat when I use this platform though, which is a bit annoying. Well, let me try and figure it out. Before we start talking about Chris Bryant claiming that 2021's as dangerous for gay men as Saudi Arabia was in the 1950s. Yeah, let's just make sure everything's working. All right. View on YouTube. Here we are. How does that work? Okay. It is working. The downside is I cannot see the chat and I have no idea how to get that fixed. Especially after I just did that trendy intro, right? That's weird. I could see it a minute ago. Right, anyway, there we go. I can see it when I go full screen on YouTube. I just hope that my audio's not doubling up because it's somewhat confusing. Anyway, what do you think of the nasty overlay? That was... I noticed I've got the red slightly wrong there in the corner. Listen, when you're self-taught, this is what you have to deal with, right? I'm not a classically trained streamer. That red's completely off, actually, now that I look at it. Sort of looks like a colourblind painter made it for me. I have still got the carpet burns, Kirky Valley. It's one of them things. I should have asked Elton to be a little bit less rough. Elton. Right. How's everyone doing? Friday night? Obviously, it's party time in England because you're not allowed to go out. I'm going to talk about Chris Bryant. I mean, honestly, this video, again, I hope the audio works all right. But Chris Bryant sort of makes me sick. Like, this constant need to make themselves out to be victims when they so obviously aren't. It's extremely infantile. It's like the people who did all of the hard work back in the day. Yeah, there's no way of me making that bigger as well. That's a bit annoying. Chris Bryant, culture war makes me feel less safe as a gay man. Of course it does. Less safe. In England, how often do you see people out gay bashing in England in 2021? I mean, really? In fact, of all the places I've been, I think England's probably the least homophobic. Like, the Italians and the Spanish are still quite a little bit, they've got a lot of that sort of, what would you call it? Continental machismo, especially the Italians. You know, anyone who's ever seen The Soprano knows that, right? Tony Soprano is not renowned for being the most gay-friendly chap, is he? It's an old-fashioned thing. And it's dead strange to me that British people will try to sit there with a straight face. And yeah, maybe in the 1970s, Stephen. Yeah, exactly right. It's lunacy that they'll sit there with a straight face and pretend to be afraid. Although we know they do that all the time, don't we? Because it's something I thought about recently when I was reading about Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, obviously everyone knows who Kyle Rittenhouse is. Kyle Rittenhouse, even though he's like not actually set foot on campus yet, and he isn't a full-time student, the Occupy Democrats movement and all of the other far-left extremist groups that you find on modern university campuses have started a campaign to have him thrown off campus. And what they do is, because they're all trained activists, right? Again, listen to them. Patrice Cullors from Black Lives Matter. We're all trained Marxists. I mean, I don't know what that fucking entails. Like Wimpy Holmes has a training scheme for YTS where you go in and you spend like 16 weeks hanging doors and learning how to plane things and sharpen your chisels. I don't know how you would call someone a trained Marxist. I don't know how it works. I don't know if they have some sort of fucking YTS scheme. Nice haircut. Thank you, Kate. My wife kicked the hair out of my head. No, I'm kidding. She did it with a knife and fork. But yeah, it's lunacy to me to hear these people, when it suits them, when they're showing off in front of all the chums, They'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm a trained Marxist," as if there's some sort of fucking production line for them. And then when it doesn't suit them, i.e., whenever they're in the public eye or they go on Question Time on the BBC, they say, "What do you mean, Marxist? I'm not a Marxist." AOC and the like, when they're at a party and they're all, because they're all champagne socialists, they're drinking $200 bottles of champagne and fucking talking about the evils of capitalisms. They love to go on about how fucking communist they are, but as soon as there's a camera on them, then no, what are you talking about? That's just a slur. It's McCarthyism making a comeback. No, you're a commie. You're a fucking commie. You see everything through the prism of your little identity pyramid you've made, this collectivist identity politics prism, and you judge people based entirely off what they happen to look like or what little box you've put them in. This is why, with a straight face, you get American political commentators pointing at a black woman like Winsome Sears, who just won the election in Virginia, and they'll call her a white supremacist, a patriarchal white supremacist. It's like, it's funny to normal people because you can't believe that they're willing to go on national media with a straight face and say these things, to call a black woman an agent of the patriarchy or a white supremacist. I mean, they were on Fox. Fox did a great little, and again, before anybody starts in the chat, yeah, we know Fox has got their own biases, but when they're literally just doing the hard work that YouTubers can't be bothered with, i.e., paying someone to troll over hours and hours of footage in order to put together a nice little montage of stupidity, that can't be denied, right? That's not propaganda. That's them cutting and pasting CNN's live footage and just putting it together in a montage for us, for our viewing pleasure. Jimmy Ray, how you doing? Hope all's well up in Geordie land, like. So it's mad to me that the lie so frequently and so often that they lose track of their own bollocks. They don't know whether they're coming or going. Everything they say is an illusion, and obviously that's why you're not supposed to tell lies all the time. Because if you don't tell any lies, you can't be caught out on them. You don't have to keep track on them all. If you tell lies, you get caught out eventually because you tell too many, and even the finest mind in the world can't keep track of 10,000 different fucking lies. And when all you do for a living is lie, like these, well, I was going to say lefty politicians, but ultimately, let's have it said, it's all of them. Right? It's all of our politicians. When all you do is lie, it must be difficult as fuck to go 10 minutes without getting called on one of them. So yeah, when it suits them, they're definitely not communist, definitely not Marxist. When they're having a party, then they'll happily admit it. They'll say things like, "I'm a trained Marxist," which is, yeah, okay, cheers then. But remember to wear that badge of honor when you go on Question Time, you dippy fucking mare. So, yeah, great little montage of these fucking loonies. And they love to make things up to try and make themselves out to be the victims. And again, this is in an era where the left have all the power. We've talked about it before, right? They try to paint themselves as the victims and everybody who isn't woke as the oppressor. But everybody is woke. Everybody that matters is woke or professes to be woke, which in political parlance is all that matters, isn't it? I mean, let's do it. I'll reel them off, right? I'll do it. Who's woke? The royal family's woke. So the royal family's woke. The prime minister's woke. The leader of the opposition's woke. The home secretary's woke. The shadow home secretary's woke. The justice ministry's woke. MI5 and MI6 are woke. The civil service is woke. Philip Rutnam, woke. The universities are woke. The primary schools and the high schools are woke. What isn't? The BBC's woke. Channel 4's woke. Sky News is woke. The Independent's woke. The Daily Mirror's woke. What have we got? I mean, seriously, what have we got? The only things I can think of is GB News, which is hardly fucking militant fascism, is it? GB News is milquetoast centrism. So yeah, I like GB News. And you've got the Daily Mail, which is obviously centre right. They do lead with a lot of what would you say, fodder for the working classes. Nice to see Jimmy's in. GB News is half work, right? They have that Benjamin Butterworth on. Benjamin is a fucking plank. How did a bloke like Benjamin get on national television? Although, hey, I've just answered my own question. If Jimmy Savile can get on national television and he was fucking fingering little fucking bands, I think anyone can get on television, can't they? So there you go. I've answered my own, asked and answered in 20 seconds. That's what you come here for. The difficult answers to the hard questions. Oh yeah, apparently, someone can check for me. Apparently, this is on Facebook and Twitch as well, because I paid $10 a month for the StreamYard multi-stream package. I mean, $10 a month, fuck all, right? That's one that can't even get you 2 pints in America now. So to be honest, I'm surprised I didn't splurge more often. But Bill, sorry, Andrew, that euphemism you use isn't quite right, is it? Because because a 9-bob note isn't a practicing homosexual. I think what you mean is he's as bed as a 9-bob note, right? Yeah. Anyway, that tickled me more than it should have done. Oh, yes, another 10 viewers. Get in. Hey, every little helps, right? Every little helps. Like, apparently, if you buy one of those dick extenders, it can add like 0.25 centimeters to your penis. Every little helps, lads. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I haven't got a link for that. I'm not sponsored by anyone. That wasn't going to be a clever segue into some branding. Buy Throb You Like penis extension. Every little helps. That's a tagline. That should be in advertising. Anyway, should we do some news instead of me just talking shit? This is a lot harder than just doing it on YouTube. So I think what I'll do is I'll stick at it for a week. And if I've literally got no audience at all on Facebook and Twitch, which is I'm assuming going to be the case. Twitch is full of like virtual prostitutes and a tiny minority of blokes who are like ridiculously good at video games. That seems to be all that's on Twitch. So it's probably pointless me making an account for it. Facebook, I think I've got a couple of hundred followers, but I'm sure everybody on there got there from the YouTube. So it's probably pointless doing this. Anyway, is the medium preferable? Like to me, that's a bit shitty that because you can barely read it. Is there anything like maybe big? Please, no more sexual euphemisms. There we go. Is that? Yeah, still a bit shit in it. Anyway, let's listen to him talking absolute bollocks, shall we? Hopefully the audio works.
I now feel more nervous as a gay man in Britain than I have for 30 years.
Why?
And I've discussed this with people who work in Downing Street. It's because I think that they're very happy to have culture wars, and because they've learnt this trick from America, from Trump, and in the end, culture wars will always pick on those who are slightly different, and that means the gays are always, the gays, the Jews, the blacks. That's always the list that crops up whenever any populist government gets into power.
You're nervous because of something they've done already, or where you fear it may go?
I think the place that they've taken the.
Listen, you know what's funny about that? When he said they're in the minority, how are you in a minority? Or brave. I mean, here's an obvious one. And again, I'll preface this with the obvious because it's 2021. And basically, if you're not on the gay bandwagon, you're not allowed to talk. So just as well for me, because I'm a man of integrity and I don't tell fucking lies, that I've been pro-gay marriage since the 1990s before it was cool, right? Most British people have. If you were born and raised in England in the 80s and you grew up in the 90s, the idea that you should have an irrational hatred for someone just because of what they get up to in the private life is anathema to us. It's just not a thing. Nobody was virulently homophobic in Britain in the 90s. So for this daft ginger twat to go on there with a straight face and start telling us that he's the victim, when we're now living in a society where you have to be railroaded into being openly pro-gay marriage. Because this is a point I've made, and I hope I can make the point logically and consistently without getting banned for fucking virulent hate. But this is the point I've made. Even though I personally agree with the state not interfering in the private lives of the citizenry, so yes, I don't judge people by their sexuality, and I don't mind if gay people get married. You shouldn't have to think that, right? I've made this point before about old people. Like, I know an old bloke called Les who's fucking pretty homophobic. My dad and probably guys over the age of 60 from their generation, they are pretty homophobic in a manner, but they don't advocate beating them up, verbally abusing them in public, or basically doing anything. They don't do any advocacy. They don't saying we must strip them of their rights. They don't do it. All they are is not really cool with it. And ultimately, if you're a liberal person, you should be cool with people having a different opinion. I'm okay with gay marriage, but I don't see why you have to railroad people. If you're an old bloke and you're not marching in the streets, calling gay people names or beating anybody up, aren't you allowed to be a little bit homophobic? I mean, I know that's a hard argument to make in this day and age because we're living in this fucking crazy time. Someone like Tim Pool, that fucking milquetoast 40-year-old in a beanie, he wouldn't even touch it with a barge pole, would he? But the point is, if you're an actual liberal person and you want to promote people's freedom of expression, dare I say it, as long as you're not whipping up an angry mob, you're allowed to be against gay marriage. Surely many, many religious people, I mean, I'll state the fucking obvious, the practitioners of one very specific desert fable, yeah, the regular visitors to Alan's legendary snack bar, those guys, they're not fucking openly gay marriage. In fact, they're pretty openly pro ripping the fucking institution to bits. In fact, they don't want to just get rid of gay marriage. They seem to want to get rid of the fucking blokes doing the marrying and anyone who went to the wedding, right? So it's a bit weird that we're living in this world where we talk about tolerance, but you're not allowed to disagree. And the reason this story annoyed me so fucking much is because we know that if there is one group that is openly vilified in 2021, it's people who aren't pro-gay marriage. And again, if you're a liberal, you should be making the point that these people are allowed to have their opinions. If you're not fucking committing a hate crime, you're not encouraging violence, and you're not openly and aggressively fucking doing the old fire and brimstone shit in the street, you're allowed your opinion. If you don't want to be pro-fucking gay marriage, you're entitled to your opinion. Just as you're entitled to not be a vegan. Do you see where this goes? It's all a slippery slope. If it starts becoming uniform, where you have to impose these views on people, it's a very slippery slope. You don't have to be pro-veganism, but you do sort of have to be pro-gay marriage, don't you, in the modern life, certainly in England. So that's why it irritates me so much, because it's twofold. It's the over denial of reality by talking heads and elected officials, like this daft fucking pansy bastard. And at the same time, whilst benefiting from all of these protections, the stifling of freedom of speech, the virulent hatred aimed towards old white working class chaps who should be entitled to their opinions. At the same time that's going on, when these fuckers are the most privileged people in society. I mean, Andy's a politician, for Christ's sake. Who's got the power? Random twats in cyberspace or this guy? So that's why it's as annoying as it is, because they have all the power and all the privilege. And they have the media and the royal family and the prime minister, everyone. The fucking president and the prime minister and the fucking mechanisms of the state and the MSM and Silicon Valley, and everything is on their side. And they still think they can sit there with a straight face and claim, I'm absolutely terrified. I've never been this terrified. I've never had it so bad. You are pulling my fucking pisser. It's a absolute joke. You know you're lying, and we know you're lying, which again isn't particularly strange because he's a politician.
Debate about trans has contributed.
Look, the debate about trans has contributed to that. So what he's saying is you can't have a debate. Can't have a debate. Whether or not you're pro-trans is irrelevant. And even lackwits like Owen Jones and his chums at The Guardian and the BBC should know this. It's not even about the trans debate. It's about the debate. He's saying if you have a debate, you cause hate crimes. If you have a debate, I feel unsafe. If you have a debate, the fucking world is ending. Fire and brimstone. Like I said, these are the new hate preachers. So just sit for a minute and think about how dangerous this is. What they're saying here is we have to tell you stuff and you have to accept it. Because they've had so much success with this lie that they keep telling. And we know it's a lie, right? Every time you get into a minor disagreement with them, they go, oh, I feel unsafe. Oh, I feel unsafe. No, you're not arguing with them with a fucking brick in your hand. You're just sitting there going, what are you talking about, communist? And they go, oh, I'm unsafe. Oh, my fucking God, I'm unsafe. And if they say they're unsafe, because again, the trained activists know what they're doing. If they say they're unsafe, they know that it works. Then the authorities go, oh my God, well, if they feel unsafe, let's just let them do whatever they want. If they feel unsafe, they can do whatever they like. So this is why they do it. And it's more of the same. He's saying that you can't debate things. The communists will tell you things that you have to believe. And, you know, we can't debate it. Because if we debate it, people feel unsafe. So let's just do it. The slow fucking slide into full-blown authoritarianism. You know what it is. The people that watch this channel know exactly what it is. They're absolute lunatics. The Tavistock Institute does have a lot to answer for, Sean. It does indeed. Full systematic child abuse. Seems like just like the practitioners of a particular desert fable, they're immune to criticism as well, aren't they? So it's really messed up. Having a debate, seriously, right? I'm not, again, let's completely eschew the topic of LGBT, trans, etc. The only way you get good legislation, period, full fucking stop, I've been in America too long, the only way you get any good legislation is if you rigorously debate it. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about the national curriculum, parking charges, council tax increases, the fucking bin men's schedule. Rigorous debate is how you get good policy. That is what educated people like David Starkey have talked about for fucking years. The problem with not having a real opposition. Because when the opposition agrees with everything, you don't get a rigorous debate. It has to be there. It has to be in everything. It has to be in everything. Every academic pursuit, every political pursuit, you have to have rigorous debate. Even if you all agree, you should still have a rigorous debate. Like if I totally agree with something, but you do as well, before we're going to pass these things into law and we're going to legislate, I should spend a night looking for as many strong arguments against the position that I agree with. And then the next day, let's have a thorough debate where I'll at least do my very best effort at playing devil's advocate. And that is how you get organised, well-run governments. Rigorous debate. It should be everything you do in life that's consequential. If you're going to buy a car, you and your missus need to have a rigorous debate. You're going to take the kids to, shall we go to Spain or shall we go to Italy? Personally, I wouldn't go to either because there's too many Italians in Italy. And Spain is turning into a fucking shithole under the EU. But hey, everything that matters, you need to debate. And for the last few years, we haven't had a debate. The government's just pushed everything through with total agreement from the opposition, who don't disagree with them on fuck all. So we're in the shit. And that's why. In fact, if I could put a finger on it, I've sort of just stumbled onto it. That's probably the single biggest issue we've got, isn't it? It's not having serious debate about the big issues. We talk about the refugee crisis or the climate crisis, or whatever they're teaching in schools. We don't have a proper debate anymore. The politicians all just agree and go, yeah, that's a fucking good idea, without sitting there and thinking, is it a good idea though? Is it really a good idea? Look at the Iraq war. Monumental clusterfuck. I went to Iraq twice. I'm fucking embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I wish I'd spent the 2 years I spent going to Iraq. I wish I'd, I don't know, been a child prostitute trafficker or a heroin dealer. I'd be less embarrassed. That's how much of a fuck up the Iraq war was. There was more weapons of mass destruction under my nana's fridge than there was in Iraq. And I went twice. Cringe with shame. Because they hardly had any debate on it. The Tories are always pro-war. And Labour under Blair were pro-war because they were all getting rich off the back of it. So there was no debate. They said, let's fucking invade Iraq. And they all went, yep, good idea. Seriously, look back at the votes. Was there any rigorous debate on the Iraq war? Considering millions of people marched through London, I think it was the biggest series of protests we'd ever seen in British history. Didn't have much of a debate over it, did we? And lo and behold, monumental clusterfuck. So this is insidious. This bollocks that Chris Bryant's coming out with. Anyway, I've waffled loads. Let's actually try and finish the video.
To that, the fact that they're not prepared to do a proper ban on conversion therapy. You know, Boris's own history.
Look at that as well. Look at that. For half a second there, when he said
conversion therapy,
the fact that they're not prepared to do a proper ban on conversion therapy, for half a second there, I thought he was talking common sense. And he was talking about conversion of little kids, Tavistock Institute, gender. And again, I'm not particularly aggressively anti-trans either. Not me, not really. Because I'm a libertarian. I just have a real issue with doing it to kids. I think if you're fucking over the... Maybe 18's a bit young because you're a fucking idiot when you're 18, let's be honest. But if you're 21, you should be able to mutilate yourself in whatever way you like. And no one should be made to feel small for being whatever they are. Leave people the fuck alone is my motto. I'd never dream of attacking anybody in the street or having a go at someone for no reason, regardless of what they are. That's my attitude in everything in life. So I'm not anti-trans. I'm anti-little kids doing it. If you're a 21-year-old and you're a bit of a fucking dickhead, it's nothing to do with me. You can do whatever you want. My only problem is doing it to children, and obviously the famous one I always go on about because it grinds my fucking gears, Nadia off Big Brother. I don't think British steel erectors should be paying their taxes so random Portuguese fellas can come to London and get cock off on taxpayers' tit. That, call me a bluffball traditionalist, call me a virulent transphobe. I haven't got any problem at all with trans people as long as they're adults and as long as I don't have to pay for the bastard thing. If you want me to carry bricks on a building site for 40 fucking weeks just to scrimple together the tax money it's going to require for a random Portuguese immigrant to get cock lopped off on NHS, sorry, I disagree. Pay for it yourself, and I'm all for it. And hey, I wish them the best of luck. I hope Nadia is loving life, getting ragged senseless in some fucking dirty, shitty bar in Soho every weekend. Dig out, lads. Dig out. I've said it before, I'm as pro-gay marriage as is possible to be without routinely noshing sailors off. I don't give a fuck what consenting adults get up to on their own fucking time. But don't dare tell me that we should be doing it to children when they're not old enough to consent to buy a pack of fags, let alone lop the fucking pork sword off. And secondly, don't tell me I've got to pay for it. That's my only two caveats. They all fall under that umbrella, just two. Pay for it yourself. Wait till you're a grown-up. Done. Easy, right? It's a very simplistic policy. Covers everything, every base. Pay for it yourself. Be over 21. Do what you fucking like. Do what you like. Yeah, not hard. Anyway, sorry, went on a rant again. I actually thought this fucking idiot had somehow managed to I thought I'd somehow managed to roll the turd in glitter, and this moron had said one sensible thing, and he was talking about conversion therapy for children, Tavistock Clinic. But guess what? He wasn't. He doesn't give a shit if an 8-year-old takes a fucking hacksaw to a piss flaps, but he does care about conversion therapy for blokes. Grown men. If you're a grown man and you've got serious issues, if you're a 30-year-old gay bloke and you've got serious issues with being gay, and you honestly think paying some fucking idiot with a Bible to tell you that actually you're mega into tits, really, you just haven't seen a pair you liked. If you're thick enough to do it, why can't you do it? Banning conversion therapy is not something I care about because I'm a libertarian, right? Grown men are allowed to sell or buy any shit they want. You can sell your ass for all I care. I don't give a shit. So if some bloke wants to sell his services in conversion therapy, what's the big deal? Grown men are doing it. They don't do conversion therapy to 10-year-olds. They do conversion therapy to 30-year-old blokes that are fucking in the head and can't accept the fact that they absolutely love tasty, delicious cock. That's up to you, mate. Right? Get into it. I advocate gay men accepting what they are and daisy chaining around the gay discos. But I don't think you should ban conversion therapy. If people are stupid enough, because you know what this is going to go down to? Basically, they're telling you what you can spend your money on. Cigarettes are fucking bad for you. Booze is bad for you. Conversion therapy is bad for you. They don't need banning. If you're thick enough to spend your money on those things, knock yourself out, fella. Right? Is that not a decent argument? There's all kinds of things that are bad for us. But if you're a grown man over the age of 21 and you want to go and do it, you can fucking do it. Booze, tabs, pints of ice cream, eating mayonnaise out the jar like Diane Abbott, sausage rolls from Greg's. There's fucking all kinds of things grown men spend the money on that are a terrible idea. Conversion therapy is just one of them. So there's no need to ban conversion therapy. I thought just for a moment, this daft ginger twat was being sane and was talking about stopping the mutilating children. And no, he couldn't even get that right. He has to stomp on your right and tell you when you're a 30-year-old man, I'll tell you what you can spend your money on. Let me, the ginger fuckwit, who frankly probably still has Velcro shoes, and he's wanted to tell me as a 42-year-old man what I'm allowed to spend my money on. I mean, really? Lunacy. We'll never get through it because he just winds me up so much. I'll try again. Come on. Definitely not going to rewind it this time.
Boris's own history of, about tank top bully bum boys and all that.
Boris's own history. How much use are they going to get out of that? Right? Saying that a thing looks like a thing isn't phobic of anything, right? The famous letterbox comment, which I'm sick of hearing. Like, seriously, it was fucking 10, 15 years ago. And every time you go on Twitter, there's people on there going, oh, yeah, but he said letterbox, ladies. Like as if that, therefore, he's in the fucking Waffen SS. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Again, are you an idiot? Chris, what's that got to do with anything? He wrote a comical piece 15 years ago and used the term tank-topped bum boys whilst mocking people that were virulently homophobic. He wasn't actually being homophobic. He was saying that's the type of language they use. That was all he did. He's never beat anybody up. He's never committed a hate crime. He's never done what adherents of one particular religion often do and threw any gays off roofs or went into the Orlando gay nightclub in Pulse nightclub and massacred a load of gay blokes. He's never done anything. He's never even sent an angry letter to a gay man. But because he wrote a comical piece 15 years ago, apparently, therefore, he needs putting in the fucking gulag. They don't believe this shit themselves. This is what I keep saying. They know that they don't believe it. He doesn't feel in any danger. He doesn't think debate is a bad idea. He doesn't. He's not that fucking dense. He's merely an idiot. Because to be that thick, you would literally have to be Terry Fuckwit. You would literally think you wash the dishes with a hammer. That's how thick you would have to be. And he isn't that thick. He's just another petty left-wing tyrant who wants to control every aspect of your life and tell grown men what they're allowed to spend the money on. Unless, of course, it sings alongside with communist ideology, at which point, no, you don't need any control at all. What a twat.
That saying that, you know, gay marriage, if you were to allow gay marriage, why not allow two men and a dog to marry? All of that kind of stuff. It feels.
Did he say that? Anyone know? That sounds suspiciously to me like a very bad mangling of what right-wing religious rednecks in Alabama would say. I've heard radio phone-ins in America where some guy will ring up and go, hey, I don't agree with gay marriage because if we do that, the next thing, people will be getting married to dogs and household appliances. I don't believe for a second that Boris Johnson actually said that. So if anyone can prove me fucking wrong, and I apologise, that was terrible. That was more like Forrest Gump and a cowboy. I've heard it in America on radio call-ins, but I've never ever heard Boris Johnson say it. So again, he's just lying as far as I'm aware. But that's every time his lips move, isn't it?
Fills me with a great deal of unease. And
so you think Boris Johnson is guilty of those attitudes or just willing to exploit them?
Somewhere in that mix, I think there's a world of people who think that that's politically advantageous to stir that pot.
You don't, Chris. You lying, jug-eared ginnock. You don't, do you? You don't think that. Boris Johnson is overtly, openly woke. He's at the head of the most left-wing Tory government that I've ever seen. Ever. And because I'm 42 years old, it's the most left-wing Tory government ever. Because there were not. Obviously, you don't need to see. Again, I really hate people in the chat. Sources on Twitter. Sources. You don't need a source. You just need to fucking read newspapers or history books. This is the most left-wing conservative government that has ever existed in British history. Ever. What, you're going to go back to the 80s and find one that's more left-wing? Who was the Prime Minister? Boy George. This government couldn't be more openly gay-friendly, Chris, if the Prime Minister was Elton John and the Home Secretary was fucking Ricky Martin. And every Friday, they wanked each other off outside the fucking 10 Downing Street for the press. You're talking nonsense and you know it. You're talking absolute nonsense and you know it, and you're not genuinely fearful because nothing you said is genuine, you sneaky, lying, red twat.
And that makes me genuinely fearful because I don't think Margaret Thatcher was homophobic, but she still introduced Section 28 because it was necessary politically.
I think Boris Johnson.
So he doesn't think Margaret Thatcher was awful, but Boris Johnson is. Yeah. Yeah. This is where we're at. Yeah, because everyone knows what a lefty Margaret Thatcher was. She was way to the left of Boris Johnson. It's drivel. Because now they're running against Boris Johnson. That's why. It's just politically expedient. Boris Johnson's definitely more right-wing than Margaret Thatcher. Really? In what fucking way? On what planet? And Margaret Thatcher wasn't particularly right-wing, right? We've all been watching David Starkey, or at least I hope we have. He's correct. Although I will say I made that point a couple of years ago, I'm certain. Thatcher was the real conservative. She was obsessed with the green. Like Donald Trump. Funny old thing. But Thatcher wasn't particularly conservative, but she was fucking 10 steps to the right of the woke, left-wing, social justice Tories. But this daft cunt thinks he can spin you a yarn because he thinks you're an idiot. And he can say with a straight face, I'm terrified in 2021 in Britain. It's virulently homophobic. Oh my God, it's the worst place to be gay ever. I'm terrified. I'm terrified. Oh yeah, and by the way, Boris Johnson, woke Boris Johnson, fat albino jellyfish, who never stops talking shit about woke causes and swinging his fucking rainbow flags about. Oh yeah, he's more homophobic than Margaret Thatcher. He's saying it because he's running against Boris Johnson. His party is running against Boris Johnson's party. So he knows it's fucking ridiculous. But he'll still say it. Because they're not going to dig Thatcher up and make a run again, are they? It's laughable. A 10-year-old could see through this fucking drivel.
Was here.
He'd be absolutely fuming.
Well,
I
he'd
know.
say to you, "Look, I was mayor of London." I mean,
Yeah.
when
And
mayor
what
of
was
London,
the first thing he cut? All the money for LGBT.
Ooh, that means he hates them. That means he hates them. No, what about he cut all the money for LGBT events because they're fucking pointless. They're pointless because it's England. Have you been to London? It's raving. The whole city is gay. It's proper gay in London. Everywhere you go, there's rainbow flags and gay discos. And again, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. I ignore them and go straight to the fucking pissy, spew-covered old man pubs without jukeboxes and TVs where I can sit in a dark corner, shoo the rats away and get pissed in peace. So it doesn't bother me. But London is proper gay. So what do you need to spend money for it? For the LGBT events? All the shit we could be spending money on. Educating kids, smashing people, trafficking gangs. Think about it. The list endless. I'm not even going to reel them all off like a boring bastard. You need to spend money on things when you run a country. You need money, and it's a finite resource. I know Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn, Abbott because she can't do maths, Corbyn because he's a communist, think the money grows on fucking trees. But you need money. It's a finite resource. So when you're thinking of all of the myriad things you need to spend it on, when you're the mayor of London, you're probably like, holy fucking shit, illegal migration, drug dealing, people trafficking, the Metropolitan Police need funding, all the shit you've got to spend on, emptying the bins, keeping the power on, paying for the water, fucking everything. I would think a sensible place to cut money from is LGBT events. Not because you've got a problem with LGBT, but because it sort of sorts itself out, doesn't it? Sort of does. I'm sure the gay blokes will be able to guide themselves in where they need to be without me helping them. What do they want the mayor to do? Fucking guide them in. Come on, Ricky. Come on, here you go, son. They can handle it on their own. The mayor doesn't need to help them. Right? Don't need any assistance from the mayor of London. That takes care of itself. The lesbians will still be scissoring. The gay blokes will still be rogering. Doesn't need any events. Fucking events in London. What events? Ooh, he cut the money for gay events. Who gives a fuck? The police are a shambles. There's jihadis all over the bastard shop. Yeah, cut the money for LGBT events. Fuck me. Get charity to do it. Sure, Elton John will donate a few million quid if he needs to. It's just ridiculous. Ooh, he cut the money for that. Okay, then. Yeah, because we're living in such a fucking paradise, we can just spend all our money on LGBT events. Christ almighty. How does he say this shit with a straight face? I'm going to have to go on Twitter and fucking have a go at this twat.
Events.
But he'd say he went to them, he celebrated
Pride.
Pride.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm just saying, I don't want to overstate this. I'm not accusing the Prime Minister of being homophobic, but I do feel less safe.
So he walks back everything he's just said because he knows it's bollocks, and then says he feels less physically safe, even though he definitely doesn't. If you felt less physically safe, lads, you wouldn't be dancing around the fucking streets with your leather arseless chaps on, would you? Actions speak louder than words. If gay men didn't feel safe in London, there wouldn't be gay discos everywhere. They wouldn't be out proper mincing around the streets in drag in the middle of London, in the middle of the day, if they didn't feel safe. Actions speak louder than words, Chris. So you're a fucking liar. You're a blatant liar. And everything you've said is in pursuit of your overbearing, authoritarian fucking game. Where you don't want us to debate anything, you just tell us what we have to do, and we ask no questions because that makes you feel unsafe, and we just do it. Right? So you knock on my door. I'm not going to feel safe unless you get your fucking chops round this bootneck. It's not happening, Chris. It's not happening. Free people have the right to disagree with overbearing communists, regardless of whether or not they happen to like bouncing on blokes' shit lockers. All right? That's just a fucking fact.
Physically safe than I did 30 years ago as a gay man.
Bollocks. Bollocks. You lying, rat-faced, jug-lug twat. Absolute fucking bollocks. Bollocks. I don't know what else to say, right? So there we go. It took me fucking 45 minutes to get through that. It just rages me. It's such a naked attempt to fuck with people, with decent, hard-working, tax-paying people. It really fucking pisses me off. They just want to stomp all over your rights. Debate is homophobic. Fucking rat bastard. Chris, I hate you. Chris, you should feel guilty. You should at least feel shame when you talk such absolute bollocks on the BBC. Right. Should we find some more news? I'll do one more. That went on much longer than I intended to. Let me just have a wet me whistle. Right. Why is this a story? Merkel's military farewell. Some fucking Jerry is retiring, and apparently it's news on the BBC. Why? Oh, yeah, because she's a left-wing twat and she filled Europe with fucking illegal immigrants. So the BBC love her. Well, I can take solace from the fact that that wizened old battle axe is childless, like all of these people that fuck up the world, and she will die friendless and alone. So it's not all fucking bad. Crone. What else? COVID, bollocks. Total fucking nonsense. Who cares? Ex-nurse who raped, incapacitated. Oh, that's pretty mad. Italian tries to dodge COVID jab with a fake arm. That's fucking brilliant. That's quality, isn't it? This man's a fucking legend. An Italian man who wanted a COVID vaccination certificate without getting the jab turned up for his vaccine with a fake arm. The man in his 50s arrived with a silicone mould covering his real arm, hoping it would go unnoticed. The nurse was not fooled and the man was reported to the police. Fuck me. Reported to the police. It's the very definition of a victimless crime, that, isn't it? What's he done? Reported to the police. Poor bastard. What's he going to get for it? 6 months in the salt mines, lads. Fucking quality. Typical Italian. Class. So yeah, that's good. I love out like that. What else? 14 arrested over LA smash and grab raids. This is fucking brilliant as well, right? So LA, where I did used to live, for those of you that don't know, it's been turned into a swamp by ridiculous, overly left-wing, shameless fucking politicians who think it'll be good for the numbers if they ignore crime. Which, again, how mad have you got to be? Who thinks ignoring crime is good for the numbers? But these daft twats do, because they think, oh yeah, looks great. All of the normies will just vote for me anyway, right? In Democrat cities like LA. But the commies, who are the ones who go out door knocking and fucking cheating and rigging the fucking votes and dropping off 8 bin liners full of blue votes at 3 o'clock in the morning, they love out like that. So these dopey twats have started letting them rob people. And I was actually talking to a bloke last weekend in the boozer, and he was a copper in Santa Maria, just up the road from where I live. And he told me that they have now, I mean, you've probably heard stories about it, but I'm telling you this straight out the horse's mouth, because I sat and talked to the bloke for an hour. He was a good laugh. He said they've made stealing less than like $900 worth of stuff a misdemeanor, so you don't get ran in for it. And he said there's people in Santa Maria who are going into the stores, getting $600 or $700 worth of stuff, just picking up off the shelf, walking out past the fucking staff. Cheers, loser. Walking out, go to the car, ditch it in the car, and then walk back in. And he said as long as they're going in and out and just emptying it, and they do 5, 6, 7 loads, and you don't take it out in a wanna, they can't run them in. They've essentially legalized robbery because they think it'll look good for the numbers to the wokists. That's how cynical and disturbing this behaviour is. They know it's going to fuck with people. It's the same as when they stood down after Black Lives Matter. The Met Police did it, letting them loot, letting them rob, letting them rape, letting them do whatever they want. Just fuck it, we'll just seed the streets to them, which is why Carl Rittenhouse went out. They cynically think it's good for their numbers if they allow angry mobs to do whatever the fuck they like. That is how bad these lefty arseholes are. So, 14 arrested. Nearly 340 grand's worth of goods were stolen. And all the suspects were released from custody. Just soft as a second-hand arsehole. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a shite. LMA Eric Garcetti, one of the most clueless, incompetent left-wing twats you will ever see. And now they're backpedaling, right? So he's just walked back on crime and let him do as they please for fucking 2 years. And now he's like, oh, these people need to be behind bars. You've left it too late, Eric. Eric, everybody knows you're full of shit. Everyone knows you are a rat. Soft on crime, soft on criminals. Fuck the citizenry, appease the woke. Get woke, go broke. Hopefully the same will be true of mayoral races, because this clueless, oily, fucking slimy, shitty lawyer has bent over backwards and parted his cheeks for the criminal elements for too long. And I hope, although it's a slim hope, because the people that live in Los Angeles have about as much sense as a fucking chicken McNugget, I hope it affects his numbers. We'll see. Surely, even in Los Angeles, enough is enough eventually, isn't it? Don't you get sick of being a fucking victim? Don't get sick of dealing with scum 24/7? Doesn't bother you? No? Don't panic about, oh, now you fucking say so. Christ, it's only been 22 months into 2 weeks to save the NHS. Oh, now it's, oh, okay, don't panic. Yeah, cheers. Again, too little, too late. These people are fucking morons. Stuff happens in the real world. Doesn't matter whether it's crime and criminality, COVID, looting, rioting, anything. It could be school fucking dinners. They could just be feeding the kids nothing but noodle doodles. And it'd take them 2 years to go, maybe they should eat something other than noodle doodles. You thick twat are useless. Useless. The inaction. Years of shit. And now, don't panic. You've been panicking the fucking general public for 2 years, you stupid twats. For 2 years, you've been freaking the fuck out. COVID will lock everyone in their houses. It's coming for you. Don't panic. 2 years you've been panicking, you fucking lunatic. What do you mean, don't panic? You know what? I'll end it there. I'm raged. Because that can sum up what I was talking about 10 minutes ago. Too little, too late. Everything you do, too little, too late. Years of fuckwittery can't be fixed by you coming out now, 22 months into a problem and going, yeah, don't panic, lads. Don't panic. Fuck off. Fuck off. And Eric, you can suck my plums as well. Oh, yeah, and I left this open because I want to finish on this one. Can I just say, I know there's a lot of military people on YouTube, and a lot of them make a lot of hair from being in the military. I don't think the angry bootneck does it, right? I'm happen to be a bootneck, and I always will be. And I'm always angry. But I don't spend hours talking about my military experiences. I don't swing the lantern. And I certainly don't go on about how fucking I'm a double R Jackie Chan Bruce Lee motherfucker just because I happen to be in the military. But tons of people on YouTube do. And I clicked this because I seen a link to it on Facebook. They know I was in the military and they send me this shite. Can I just say, Sadwings, I know you probably love half of these. Something like that is fine, right? If you want to get a hoodie with an American flag made out of guns, that's pretty cool, right? That's fine. But if you're one of these veteran types and you walk around with a t-shirt that is so fucking Chad. Oh yeah, you can't even see it on the stream. I didn't put it on, did I? Let me have a look. I'll have to cut and paste this one. I'm still learning. Give me a chance. Right, here we go. You can see that now, right? Yeah. Look at that, right? That's pretty cool, that. American flagging guns. I quite like that. I mean, I'm 42 years old, so I wouldn't wear it now. It's far too overtly patriotic for me. But that's pretty good, I suppose. You want to wear that, knock yourself out, lads. However, if you are Chad enough to walk out the house with a hoodie, like some of them are so fucking bad, like this one. I don't run. Right? If you're Chad enough to walk the streets in a double R bastard hoodie, like I don't run, I reload, this isn't the channel for you. Because when I see a hoodie like that, the person wearing it is usually about 4'9", has bigger tits than Diane Abbott, and looks like they couldn't knock the skin off a fucking rice pudding. So please, such overt Chadness does not sit well with me. I suppose don't chat on me. That's all right as well, right? That's the famous Gadsden flag. Yeah, that's not so bad. But seriously, look at that one. Fuck around and find. It's so Chad it makes me laugh. Look at the state of that. Honestly, if you walk the street in that, first of all, you're an absolute throbber. And secondly, I think I could knock the shite out of you without using my fist. I could just clutch my ball sack and sort of squeeze it into a mace and just batter you around the head with it. I could just slap you around the chops a few times with my flaccid, relatively small penis, and you'd be done. You'd be like, no. That is as Chad as fuck. So, ladies and gents, if you think, look at that one as well, deadly as fuck. Deadly as fuck. If you feel the need to tell people you're deadly as fuck, I think you couldn't knock the skin off a fucking rice pudding. So, yeah, that is as Chad as your dad, and I'm going to have to leave it there. I hope you got to see. I hope that gave you as much of a laugh as it did me. Deadly as fuck. Cheers, then. It'd be like one of the lollipop kids. I'm deadly as fuck. Yeah, cheers, shorty. I'll just fucking, it's like putting your hand on a midget's head, just boot him in the bollocks a few times. Right. That'll do, right? I went for an hour there because I thought I should put some more effort in because it's now multi-platform. We'll see if that hour-long stream manages to get me one extra follower on Twitch. Unlikely, but we'll see. What does everyone think? Is that do you prefer that medium or we like the old-fashioned one? Because I think that's too small and it's annoying. What do you reckon? I quite like the leaves in the background. That's quite good. But typically, I think YouTube on its own seems to work better. So anyway, we'll stop. We'll stop there. Yeah, I won't do any more Chad hoodies as well. That'll finish me off as well. Right, okay, we'll decide. I might put a poll out after a week or something. Thanks for watching, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed the BBC's Views Live. We didn't really do that much BBC, did we? It was 45 minutes ripping the piss out of that fucking clueless twat. Everyone have a great weekend. Thank you, as always, for your unending support. And, yeah, I'll probably see you Monday, I think. I might stick my head in at some point in the weekend, we'll see. And I'll do the BBC's Views pre-record one if I can be asked. All right, like it and sharing all that shit. Go subscribe to clever people like Paz and Rotten Politics and all the other good ones that we like. And I'm sure you all have already. And enjoy yourself. Have a good weekend. See you all soon. Take it easy.